final book for the day, The 1619 Project by Nicole Hannah Jones. Fantastic book, another thick one. This has to do with the beginnings of African American culture in America. It won a Pulitzer Prize. A Pulitzer Prize. The only other time I said Pulitzer Prize in the show was when I did the Kendrick Lamar episode. He also won a Pulitzer Prize. And yet, so many leaders were trying to get this book banned. The book is really simple. How does Black history make American history? That's all. It's really simple. Really simple. Black history on capitalism, Black history on punishment, Black history on healthcare. That's an important one. Black history on sugar. To read that chapter again. Black history on sugar. Kind of like my man Mark Kalansky, his fantastic book, Cod. His fantastic book, Cod, as well as his fantastic book, almost said sugar, Salt. I'm a Cod guy myself, but Salt was a bigger book. There's a big history here. Sugar was actually through the Caribbean, through the slave trade, and what they called, I believe they call it the Triangle. And so my ancestors, there's one side of the family right there. You can see my beautiful greats, great grandmother, as well as some of my older greats, as far as great uncles and so forth. That's one side of my family. Another side of the family, which I think it's up there, somewhere up there. Somewhere up there is my Go Cup from New Orleans, because that's where another part of my other side of my family comes from. Which is why New Orleans is really close to my heart. Both sides of my family, all sides of my family, they came through that trade in some form or another, and that was driven by sugar. It's really simple. It's emotional, but it's not an emotional statement. It's just true. That's why I have the complexion that I have. This gets into that. I have three wonderful parents, my mom, my dad, and my stepdad, who schooled me, raised me, had me memorizing Langston Hughes and Nikki Giovanni poems when I was 5 or 6 years old. I can still recite some of them to that day. Ego tripping comes to mind. So there was a certain amount of education and pride combined in the households that I was raised in. Hopefully, I'm passing that down to my boys. If I, and then broader, we don't understand those different dynamics and what this true history is, then culturally, we're not going to make it. I don't mean worldwide, I mean America. And what I mean by that is, it's almost like wanting to ban this book, which controversy happened about 2 or 3 years ago when it came out, right before I won the Pulitzer. Who are you going to go with, the politicians or the Pulitzer Committee? But if we're going to try to erase part of the Black part of the American experience, and we're erasing the American experience, period. It's like saying we're going to erase the Italian part of the American experience. It's like, New York wouldn't exist. What are we talking about? See how ridiculous that sounds? And so when we ban material, or try to ban material, then that's what it feels like to me. It feels like we're trying to remove parts of history. But it's like Jenga. History is like Jenga. You start taking out parts and it's going to topple over at a certain point. It's not going to be the truth anymore. So are we trying to get to the truth, or are we ashamed of what the truth is? My folks were enslaved people. It's just true. I don't need to be on, the PBS show with Henry Louis Gates. Shout out to him to find that out. I know that. I know that from my own history and from talking to my families. But that doesn't mean that we don't talk about it, and it doesn't make me less. And if people were on another part of that equation, that should be discussed too. I've been reading a lot of The Body Keeps Score. Body Keeps the Score. People always say body keeps score, but it's actually The Body Keeps the Score. I've been reading it. I've been actually reading it as I'm putting my kids to bed. They've actually heard a couple passages of it, but it's a pretty tough book to read, so I've been keeping that part private. A lot of talk about trauma, now it stays in the body. And I think about that as I reflect on my life, again, with it being my birthday today, so it's making me ultra reflective and hitting the certain age and the energy of it being like, what trauma or what energy from my ancestors who did not have space to meditate. I have a meditation mat right over there, right by the window. So who could not sit there and meditate, who didn't have Trisha Hersey's, who does the Nat Ministry, or Brene Brown, of course, who does emotional intelligence, who didn't have these wise, amazing women and men talking about their emotions and helping us unlock these things, instead of just staying inside of them. I feel like when society tries to ban a book like this, it's making the trauma stay inside. And with the slave trade, which that part was international, but with the slave trade, with the challenges of us connecting to each other, with the brutal and sometimes ugly decisions that we've made as a whole, everybody, whether you're on the receiving end or you passed it on, or you're just scared and made a decision that was not humane, it feels like we're at the point we deserve to know the truth as far as how we've contributed to things today. Because things that aren't named, they can't be dealt with. Once you give it a name, once you give it a structure, once you give it a book, that's when the energy changes. Shout out to Nicole. I love your work. The link right here is special. Made me so excited. I was planning on mentioning this book anyway, talking about books that people are trying to ban. Either books like mine that have been banned, or books that people are trying to ban, like the 1619 Project. And to come to find out, they have a new edition coming out. The link right there. 1619 Project Visual Edition. I looked at it online. I got this as a gift. Love you, Ma. I got this as a gift a while ago. I might have to just pony up and get another copy of the visual edition. It looks gorgeous. It looks like one of those coffee table books. Actually, I need to get a coffee table, so that might be on there. That, as well as Black Food, which is over here. One of my favorite books. I have a short essay in there. Yeah. Shout out to my man, Brian Terry. That'll also be on my coffee table. But if you want to get the new visual version of it, you can pre-order it right now. I want to say it comes out right before Halloween, like October 22nd or something. Be sure and check it out. I know it's going to sell out. And price-wise, it wasn't too shabby. It's not going to be as cheap as a paperback, but for the visuals for a coffee table book, I would get my hands on it as soon as possible. I'm going to go ahead and pre-order mine over the next week or two as soon as possible, because I got other stuff going on. But when I get a copy, I'll be sure to bring it on to the show. Again, I think it's out like October 22nd. There's some good books coming out. Oh, I can't wait till some upcoming lives. Oh, I got some good stuff coming for you guys. Yeah, fall of 2024 is looking nice. All right. Speaking of the heaviness and the trauma and so forth, if you're having a tough time, I suggested a handful of books. I did this, I want to say a few months ago. And it was one of my favorite live episodes that I've done recently. Absolutely. Because it talks about, when you're talking about change and transition, it's one thing to be going through a change in your life, career, what have you. It's another thing to have the transition as far as the emotional transformation that often needs to happen for us to accept a change. This talks about that. Now I have the episode from a couple weeks ago that talks directly about change and transition. You'll see the link below. We're just going to bring YourWork.tv. It'll be on the front page. But this one is also a really good starter kit, and specifically talks about the books that are going to help you through those changes. It's been wonderful. I'm so excited spending my special day with y'all. I'm entrepreneur coach Damon Brown. Helping you as a side hustler, solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. You're watching Bring Your Worth TV live on Wednesdays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You subscribe for free, and you can get under my even sack of book. Man, I give you guys some thick books today. It's like 10 pounds. The complete Bring Your Worth collection is available now everywhere, audiobook and so forth. If you want to listen to the audiobook right now, you actually click the link below and listen to it for free on YouTube. And in case you missed it, I had a great episode a couple weeks ago about 5 secrets to mastering change and transition. Talk about your favorite, or sorry, actually my favorite, hopefully your future favorite, banned books. You can get the listings and learn about Banned Books Week, which is happening right now. Support your banned books. You know, everybody wants us to have the information. Support the ones that do share it. And this is supported, consequently, by Short Form, your ultimate book companion. Until next time, where we can always bring your worth, you can always build for now. Thanks for joining.